Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
23-R-3226, a resolution by the Atlanta City Council appointing Councilmember Keisha Shawn Waits to serve as the Atlanta City Council member on the Keep Atlanta Beautiful Commission for a term of 2 years for the purpose of performing the duties and responsibilities of the commission for the City of Atlanta and for other purposes. Mr. President, this item was come out of committee being referred to City Utilities. I move to refer this item to City Utilities Committee.
There's a motion coming out of committee. It doesn't need a second to refer 23-R-3226. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. End of my report.
Thank you. Next up will be Zoning Committee. Chair Overstreet.
Thank you, President Shipman. We're going to have to go into Committee of the Whole. And so I move that we do so, if we can.
Motion by Councilmember Overstreet, seconded by Councilmember Wan to move into Committee of the Whole. Is there any discussion on the motion to move into Committee of the Whole? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to moving into Committee of the Whole? Madam Deputy Clerk, please sound the count on moving into Committee of the Whole.
Unanimous consent, 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move into Committee of the Whole carries. We're now in Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. We're going to start with 2 communications, and I can just sound those in. We're going to have to hold them, but I'll sound them first.
Please proceed.
Thank you. A communication from Council Member, item number 23-C-5016. A communication from Council Members Amos, Dozier, Bond, appointing Mr. Walter Slayton to serve as a member of the Zoning Review Board. This appointment is for a term of 2 years. And item number 23-C-5017, a communication from Council Members Dustin Hillis, District 9, Andrea Boone, District 10, Marcy Collier, Overstreet, District 11, Antonio Lewis, District 12, and Keisha Shawn Waits, Post 3 at large, reappointing Mr. Mac Kamak to serve as member on the Board of Zoning Adjustments. This appointment is for a term of 2 years to begin retroactively on February 4th, 2023 to expire February 3rd, 2025. And my motion is to hold for both.
There's a motion by Councilmember Overstreet, seconded by Councilmember Wan, to hold 23-C-5016 and 23-C-5017. Is there any discussion on the motion to hold?
I would like to explain that we're holding because we did not have a quorum on Monday, so we would like for them to appear before us.
Right. Any further discussion on the motion to hold? Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to hold these 2 items.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 12 yeas, 0 nays.
12 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to hold carries.
Thank you. Moving on to ordinances for first read. Items number 3 through 8 are first reads, and I would like to take these as a block, please.
Without objection, please proceed.
Thank you. Number 3, legislative item 23-0-1103, case number Z-22-83, location 2120 and 2130 Marietta Boulevard Northeast. The ordinance is to rezone from I-1 to MRC2. Number 4, 23-0-1104, case number Z-22-87, location 710 and 712 Ponce de Leon Place Northeast. The ordinance is to rezone from I-1BL to PDMU-BL. Number 5, legislative number 23-0-1105, case number Z-22-88, locations 718, 738, 726, 752, 756, and 774 Ponce de Leon Avenue Northeast. The ordinance is to rezone from C1BL to PDMU-BL. Number 6, 23-0-1106, case number Z-22-89, location 2016, 2020, and 2024 Milton Avenue Southeast. The ordinance is to rezone from R4A-BL and PDH-BL to PDH-BL. Number 7, 23-0-1107, case number Z-22-90, location 656 and 652 Echo Street Northwest. The ordinance is to rezone from SPI 3SA2 to SPI 3SA3. And number 8, legislative number 23-0-1108, case number U-22-32, location 553 Mobile Avenue Southwest. The ordinance is for a special use permit for a rehabilitation center. The motion is to refer items 3 through 8 to ZRB and Zoning Committee.
There's a motion to refer these two items by Councilmember Overstreet, seconded by Councilmember Faroki. The motion was to refer to both zoning and ZRB, correct?
Yes.
Any discussion on the motion to refer? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer these items.
One moment, please. The vote is open. The vote is closed. 12 yeas, 0 nays.
12 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Thank you. We're moving on to ordinances for second read. There are 3 items in this section today. We have, so we will take them all separately, and so therefore a motion and a second will be required. First, number 9, 22-0-1900, MRPA-22-05, an ordinance by zoning committee to grant a certificate under the provisions of the Metropolitan River Protection Act to allow an addition to a single-family dwelling for property located at 2022 West Paces Ferry Road Northwest. And I move to hold for a public hearing, which was going to be held on 3/13, that's March 13th. Is there a second?
There's a motion by Councilmember Overstreet, seconded by Councilmember Dozier to hold 22-0-1900. Is there any discussion on the motion to hold this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to hold.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 12 yeas, 0 nays.
12 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to hold carries.
Thank you. We're moving on to number 10, which is 23-0-1084, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis to amend Part 3 Land Development Code, Part 20, short-term rentals, sections 20-1003, 20-1004, 20-1005, 20-1007, 20-1008, and for other purposes. I will make a motion to hold. I believe that, and I want to give you all a reason, I believe that we're going to hold a work session on this in the near future with a dual work session with CDHS. Second, thank you.
There's a motion by Councilmember Overstreet, seconded by Councilmember Faroki to hold 23-0-1084. Is there any discussion on the motion to hold? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to hold this item.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to hold carries.
Thank you. Moving on to number 11, 23-0-1097, an ordinance by Councilmember Mary Norwood to establish a moratorium on subdivisions splitting lots into 2 or more segments in the Tuxedo Park neighborhood for 30 days and for other purposes. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
And second by myself.
There's a motion to approve 23-0-1097 by Councilmember Norwood, seconded by Councilmember Overstreet. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 12 yeas, 0 nays.
12 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Thank you. Now we're moving on to papers held in committee. I do have 2 items that need action today, number 13 and number 16, if I may.
Please proceed.
So we'll start with 13. 22-0-1642, Z-22-56, an amended ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from C2BL Commercial Service District Beltline Overlay to OICBL Office Institutional Beltline Overlay to MRC2 CBL, Mixed Residential Commercial Conditional Beltline Overlay for property located at 1192 West Marietta Street Northwest and 1202 West Marietta Street Northwest. Is there a motion?
So there's a motion by Councilmember Lewis.
What about a second?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Amos, second by Lewis.
All right, there's a motion to adopt by Councilmember Amos. You guys are like Councilmember Bakhtiari. She's not here. You're fighting over the seconds.
I
Councilmember,
know.
and a second by Councilmember Lewis. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote?
Councilmember Hillis is an aye. Oh, you want to speak? Oh, sorry.
The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries. Councilmember Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not speaking to the merits of the paper, but however, as Councilmember Amos knows as well, this location, I know we're early on in the process here, but this location serves as a voting precinct, both for residents in District 3 and District 9 for various precincts. So I'll just ask that our municipal clerk, Mr. Webb, get in touch with Fulton County and make sure they are aware of this rezoning and see where they have relocated these voters to. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Deputy Clerk, note that for the clerk's request. Thank you.
Duly noted.
Chair Overstreet, please proceed.
Thank you. We'll move on to 16. 22-0-1643, Z-2257, an amended ordinance by zoning committee to rezone from R4ABL, Single Family Residential Beltline Overlay to MR3CBL, Multifamily Residential Conditional Beltline Overlay for property located at 1060 Rice Street Northwest, 1070 Rice Street Northwest, and 1080 Rice Street Northwest. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Move approval by Amos, second by Councilmember Overstreet.
Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt 22-0-1643? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to adopt carries.
Thank you. And we are at the exit. I'd like to make a motion to exit committee of the whole.
There's a motion by Councilmember Overstreet, seconded by Councilmember Juan to exit committee of the whole. Is there any discussion on the motion? We can do this via unanimous consent. Any objection to leaving committee of the whole? Madam Deputy Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent, 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to exit committee of the whole carries. We're now back into regular council meeting.
Thank you, President Shipman. I would like to move that all actions taken in committee of the whole for zoning committee be adopted in gross.
There's a motion by Councilmember Overstreet to adopt all the actions of committee of the whole. There's second by Councilmember Juan. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt all the actions in the committee of the whole? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt all actions.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt all items carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. 3 committee of the wholes today. You get a gold star from the parliamentarian. Well done. Our final report today will be the Public Safety Committee. Chair Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 2 items. First is 22-0-1109, an ordinance by council members Byron D. Amos, Michael Julian Bond, Keisha Shawn Waits, Antonio Lewis, Dustin Hillis, and Mary Norwood as substituted and amended by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee to amend Chapter 10, Article 1, Section 10-1 to create a definition of security plan, Chapter 10, Article 2, Division 2, Subdivision 1, Section 10-48, B16 and Chapter 10, Article 2, Division 2, Subdivision 3, Section 10-106, and for other purposes. We've received some communication from law on this, and I believe we're going to send it back to committee, so I'll make that motion to send this back to the Public Safety Committee.
I second.
There's a motion to refer by Councilmember Hillis, seconded by Councilmember Amos, 22-0-1109, back to Public Safety Committee. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
One moment, please. The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Next item is one that was pulled off consent, 23-0-1075, an ordinance by Councilmember Amir Faroki To amend Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10-92B of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances so as to provide an exemption from the distance requirements identified in Section 10-88.1 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances for one wine specialty shop located at 405 North Angier Avenue and for other purposes. The motion from the committee is to approve.
The motion coming out of committee, it does not need a second to approve 23-0-1075. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 12 yeas, 1 nay.
12 yeas, 1 nay. The motion to adopt carries.
Completes the public safety report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. We will now move to personal papers for immediate consideration. We have one item for immediate consideration today. Councilmember Faroki.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, this is items number 32095, and it's before us on for immediate consideration because there's a federal deadline of February 28th for raised grant applications for this cycle. So we have a shorter window to authorize the mayor to enter into an application for a raised grant for the Stitch. So I will read it in full if you bear with me. A resolution by Councilmember Amir Faroki authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for fiscal year 2023 U.S. Department of Transportation Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity RAISE discretionary planning grant in an amount not to exceed $16,800,000 and no cents for preliminary engineering for the Stitch using Eastside Tax Allocation District funds and for other purposes. Whereas the City of Atlanta has an interest in maintaining the health and safety and welfare of the citizens of the city and its visitors, and whereas the city charter provides that the city may lease, regulate the use of, and control public ways located in the city, whereas the United States Department of Transportation published a notice of funding opportunity under the U.S. Department of Transportation fiscal year 2023 Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant program, and whereas $2.275 billion in grant funds will be awarded in fiscal year 2023 on a competitive basis to fund planning and capital construction for investments in surface transportation that will have a significant local or regional impact, and whereas fiscal year 2023 raised planning grants are related to the planning, preparation, or design of eligible surface transportation capital projects, inclusive of project engineering and other pre-construction activities. And whereas the application deadline established by the U.S. DOT is February 28th, 2023, whereas the city is applying in partnership with the Atlanta Downtown Improvement District, where ADID will manage the implementation of the grant and will be responsible for a local match of $500,000 and reimbursed for the expenditure of federal funds through the city. Whereas the city will provide a local match of $3.7 million in collaboration with Invest Atlanta by drawing funds from the Eastside TAD. Whereas the remaining $6.3 million in funding committed to the Stitch from the Eastside TAD will be utilized for the engineering or construction of the Stitch. Whereas the Stitch project aligns with the goals and values of city plans, including the Atlanta City Design and the One Atlanta Strategic Transportation Plan. Whereas the application is to advance preliminary engineering for the project following the completion of design work recently completed by ADID. Now therefore be it resolved that the Atlanta City Council hereby authorizes the mayor or their designee to apply for a planning grant through the fiscal year 2023 Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant program in an amount not to exceed $16,800,000 and no cents for preliminary engineering of the Stitch. Be it further resolved that the mayor or their designee is encouraged to prepare and submit the fiscal year 2023 raised planning grant application to U.S. DOT pursuant to the February 3, 2023 notice of funding opportunity for the project. Be it further resolved that the mayor or their designee in their sole discretion is hereby authorized to partner with one or more agencies in preparing and submitting the fiscal year 23 raised planning grant application to the U.S. DOT. Be it further resolved that the mayor or their designee in their sole discretion is hereby authorized to partner with Invest Atlanta to leverage the Eastside TAD for the purposes of funding this project. Be it finally resolved that if an award is made to the city by U.S. DOT pursuant to the fiscal year 2023 raised planning grant application, execution agreements which are necessary to accept the award shall be approved by subsequent action of the Atlanta City Council. I will move to approve.
There's a motion to adopt Elms 32095 by Councilmember Faroki, seconded by Councilmember Juan. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries. Seeing Councilmember Bond, you have an immediate.
I'm waiting on a paper for immediate consideration, but I don't have it in hand yet.
When it arrives, please let me know and we'll bring it up. Councilmember Faroki.
I'd like to make a motion to move that paper to the mayor's office post haste.
There's a motion to move post haste the paper just adopted by Councilmember Faroki, seconded by, I heard somebody, Councilmember Westmoreland. Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion to move post haste? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Deputy Clerk, please sound the count on the motion to move post haste.
Unanimous consent, 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move post haste carries. We will now move to papers for referral, but when Councilmember Bond's paper comes in, we'll take that up for immediate consideration. Councilmember Amos.
President, have one paper, AMS number 32093, a resolution by Councilmember Byron D. Amos urging the 2023-2024 regular session of the Georgia General Assembly to support Georgia House Bill 404, better known as the Safe at Home Act, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32093 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Thank you. Councilmember Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. First item, ELMS number 32095, 32095, 32060, 32060, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea Boone authorizing the mayor, his designee, on behalf of the Atlanta Workforce Development Agency, WorkSource Atlanta, to exercise an option to renew the contractual agreement for FCRFPS 1220123 with Arbor, ENT, LLC, DBA Equus, Workforce Solutions for a term of 1 year and an amount not to exceed $1,450,000.00 for purposes of providing workforce service delivery for Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Adult and Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Adult and Adult Dislocated Worker Programs and Services, to authorize the approval of an administrative memorandum to update account streams for payments pursuant to this agreement, to authorize the chief financial officer to make payments pursuant to the administrative paid from accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32060 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
ELMS number 32083, a resolution by Councilmember Andrea Boone, a resolution requesting the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Tuckawanna Drive Southwest and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32083 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
An ordinance by Councilmember Andrea Boone, an ordinance to waive a provision of the second amended and restated intergovernmental agreement between the City of Atlanta and Atlanta Housing Opportunity, Inc., pursuant to 201-01779 to support the development of 76-unit affordable housing project at 2980 Delmar Lane Northwest and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32091 will be referred to the CDHS Committee. Thank you. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two items. One is my paper, and one I'm reading in on behalf of Councilmember Bakhtiari. First item is ELMS number 32082, An ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the city to waive the provisions contained in Chapter 138, Article 2, Division 6, Section 138-60, entitled Flags, Banners, Signs, Displays of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, to allow the Commissioner of the Department of Public Works to waive the banner deposit fee of $1,000.00 pursuant to City Code Section 138-60A7, to waive the banner permit fee of $100.00 pursuant to City Code Section 138-60A8, to waive all per banner and per day fees pursuant to City Code Sections 138-60A8, B1 and 138-60A8B2, and waive the 30-day display limit for the University Choice Neighborhood Placemaking Program banners, and to grant the Atlanta Housing Authority a permit to display such banners in the public right-of-way and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32082 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
And then an item for Councilmember Bakhtiari, Elms number 32085, a resolution by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, a resolution requesting the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Oakland Avenue Southeast from Memorial Drive Southeast to north of the train tracks and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32085 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
That concludes my papers for first read.
Thank you. Councilmember Faruqi.
Thank you. One paper today, Elms ID 32081. An ordinance by Councilmembers Amir Faruqi and Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a sublease agreement with the Georgia Building Authority for approximately 17,432 square feet of office space located at 2 Peachtree Street Northwest, Suites 121 and 125, first floor and 41st floor, Atlanta, Georgia, for an initial period of 4 months commencing the earlier of March 7th, 2023, or the date the city takes occupancy, and expiring on June 30th, 2023, unless extended as provided therein, authorizing a base rent not to exceed $10 for the term of the sublease, authorizing the expenditure to be charged to and paid from 3503 Capital Finance Fund 250604 DCP Neighborhood Revitalization 5999999 Project Grants Budget 731000 Urban Redevelopment and Housing Administration 500220 25-City of Atlanta Housing Innovation Lab 92592-3503 City of Atlanta Housing Innovation Lab, waiving Article 10, Section 2-1546 of the Procurement Code for the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32081 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Councilmember Hillis.
Of one paper, Elms ID 32025, resolution by Councilmember Dustin Hillis, authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the 7th Amendment to FC 9974B, citywide contract for demolition and asbestos abatement services with Southern Demolition and Environmental Incorporated for demolition services at former Fire Station 28, and to add additional funding in an amount not to exceed $100,000 on behalf of the Department of Enterprise Assets Management. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the accounts listed below and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32025 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you, President. Elms number 32086, a resolution by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, a resolution requesting the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Hutchins Road, southeast from Doombrook Lane, southeast to Cato Merrick Drive, southeast, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32086 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms ID number 32087, a resolution by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, a resolution requesting the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Sims Street Southwest from Rockwell Street Southwest to Mary Street Southwest and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32087 will be referred to the Transportation Committee. Councilmember Norwood.
First one, Elms 32078, an ordinance by Councilmember Mary Norwood, authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $5,000.00 from the District 8 carry forward account to Standing Peachtree Green Space and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32078 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Elms ID 32076, a resolution by Councilmember Mary Norwood authorizing the Atlanta Department of Transportation to use funding from the Council District 8 discretionary account to fund a traffic study in the District 8 Buckhead neighborhoods to assess the need for traffic safety enhancements such as traffic calming devices, reduced speed limits, repaving projects, stop signs, or other recommendations from the Department of Transportation and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32076 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Thank you.
Councilmember Overstreet.
Elms ID number 32031, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet, an ordinance waiving Article 10, Division 4 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta's Code of Ordinances, source selection and contract information to authorize the mayor of or his designee to execute an agreement with Data Miner Incorporated for a period of 1 year, retroactively effective December 28, 2022, and ending December 27, 2023, in the amount not to exceed $32,000.00 to ratify the services provided under the expired agreement SS-S-1210-114 Data Miner First Alert Sole Source Agreement from December 28, 2022 until the effective date of the agreement authorized herein. All contracted services shall be charged to and paid from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32031 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Councilmember Shook.
Thank you. Elms 32036, an ordinance by Shook to waive the code sections indicated here of the Procurement and Real Estate Code to authorize the Police Department to donate 140 Motorola radios to the Atlanta Police Foundation and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32036 will be referred to the Public Safety Committee. Councilmember Juan.
Thank you, Council President. First one is Elms ID 32080, a resolution by Councilmember Alex Juan, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to refund customers for overpayments to water and sewer accounts in an amount of blank, all funds to be charged to and paid from fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32080 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Elms 32094, a resolution by Councilmember Alex Juan, authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to extend the memorandum of understanding with Piedmont Park Conservancy for a period not to exceed 6 months and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32094 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
And I'm also reading in Councilmember Bakhtiari, so it's Elms 32065, an ordinance by Councilmembers Juan and Bakhtiari to zone property located at 2018 Flat Shoals Road, Southeast Atlanta, Georgia, 30316 to the R4 Single Family Residential Zoning District and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32065 will be dual referred to zoning and ZRB.
Elms 32073, ordinance by Council Members Juan and Bakhtiari to amend the land use element of the 2016 City of Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan, or CDP, so as to designate property at 2018 Flat Shoals Road, Southeast Atlanta, Georgia, 30316 to the single-family residential land use designation and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32073 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
And Elms 32072, an ordinance by council members Juan and Bakhtiari to provide for the annexation of property located at 2018 Flat Shoals Road Southeast, Atlanta, Georgia 30316, into the corporate limits of the city of Atlanta, Georgia, pursuant to the 100% method, to extend the boundaries of the Atlanta Independent School System, to notify the Department of Community Affairs of the state of Georgia of such annexation and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32072 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Thank you. Councilmember Westmoreland.
Elms number 32089, an ordinance by council members Matt Westmoreland, Liliana Bakhtiari, Amir Faroki, Howard Shook, Andrea Boone, Marcy Overstreet, Antonio Lewis, and Jason Winston, authorizing the city of Atlanta to donate a total amount not to exceed blank dollars and blank cents to the Atlanta Fire Rescue Foundation to support improvements and upgrades in fire stations across Atlanta and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32089 will be referred to the Public Safety Committee.
32090, an ordinance by Councilmember Westmoreland to amend the charter of the city of Atlanta, Georgia, adopted under and by virtue of the authority of the Municipal Home Rule Act of 1965 by amending Part 1, Subpart A, Bill of Rights of the City of Atlanta, Code of Ordinances, as amended for the purposes of prohibiting discrimination based on criminal history and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32090 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Councilmember Bond.
First, I'll do the ordinance to be referred. It's an ordinance by Council Member Michael Julian Bond, Andrea Boone, Jason Dozier, Byron Amos, and 4 others whose signatures I can't make out.
As noted.
Authorizing the chief financial officer to pay an invoice in the amount of $5,000.00 for the Black Music and Entertainment Walk of Fame, Black History Month induction ceremony, and celebratory brunch honoring the Ambassador Andrew Young and others for other purposes.
Elms ID 32092 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
And I have a resolution here for immediate consideration. And I was looking for Councilmember Lewis. He's the only member I didn't see present. I'm sure he'd like to add his name. It is Elms number 32097, signed by all members present. I'll do a scrivener's note. Well, thank you, sir. It reads, recognizing former United States President James Earl Carter, known as Jimmy Carter, and thanking him for his selfless service to humanity and for other purposes. Whereas it was announced this weekend that former U.S. President Jimmy Carter has made the decision to forego further medical treatment and receive hospice care at his home in Plains, Georgia. Whereas Jimmy Carter served as in the Georgia State Senate from 1963 to 1967 and was elected as the governor of Georgia in 1970 to 1975. He served as the 39th president of the United States from 1977 to 1981. Whereas the president, he established the United States Department of Energy and the Department of Education and created a national energy policy that included conservation, price control, and new technology. Whereas Carter left office in 1981, and in 1982, he established the Carter Center to promote and expand human rights, which earned him a Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Whereas throughout the years, he has traveled extensively to conduct peace negotiations, monitor elections, and further the eradication of infectious disease. Whereas in 1986, the Carter Center started fighting neglected tropical diseases, getting the goal of to complete elimination of disease like Dracula salitalis, which is commonly known as Guinea worm disease. That goal was very ambitious at the time when there were an estimated 3.5 million cases across 21 countries in Africa and Asia. But decades later, the Carter Center's latest report indicated that there were only 28 cases in 2018, whereas he became a key figure in the nonprofit organization Habitat for Humanity, and while battling illness, had several homes for poor families. Constructed several homes for poor families. Whereas it's been more than 40 years since the former President Jimmy Carter was first sworn in as Commander-in-Chief, and while he only served one term, he never really retired from working to serve the people. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, that we recognize and thank former United States President Jimmy Carter for his selfless service to humanity. Be it finally resolved that all resolutions and parts thereof resolutions therewith be waived to the extent of the conflict. And I'm going to make a scribbler's addition to say that a copy of this resolution should be forwarded to the President and to the Carter Center. And I'd like to move approval.
There's a motion to adopt ELMS 32097. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Westmoreland. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the
The vote
motion
is
to
open.
adopt.
Will everyone please vote? Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Yes.
Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, please reflect Councilmember Boone as an aye and Councilmember Hillis as an aye.
Duly noted. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to quickly explain my vote and why I felt it necessary to introduce the resolution. For one, even though when the dreaded moment comes when President Carter is no longer amongst us the living, then no doubtedly this council and other members will release statements to the effect of his effect on their lives. This resolution will forever be a part of the city's official record and our official actions to recognize him whilst alive, so that his flowers, the aroma of them, he can witness them. And then two, just wanted to take a moment to comment on what he has meant to me personally, having known him since I was a small child. My sister, Cookie, and Amy Carter played just across the street at the Capitol when he was governor and ran all amongst the building, causing all kinds of chaos. And of course, his impact, not only as the governor of Georgia and as the President of the United States, is well documented. He is really a living example of what it means to be an earnest, devoted public servant. He served not only America well, as a veteran, as a policymaker, but even as a greater role as a citizen. And so we just wanted to make sure that we had the city council represented on the record. I've made several attempts to try to give him a proclamation to get him to come up here that have been unsuccessful. But we wanted to be on the record to say where Atlanta firmly stands as a government and as a people on behalf of the work of President Carter. So I yield.
Thank you, Councilmember Bond. I believe that's all the papers for referral and consideration today. So we will now move to general remarks of the body. Any general remarks, Councilmember Bond?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to make the announcement that this week's HelloFresh food distribution will be at the Muhammad Mosque, number 15, at 3642 Hamilton Road at 3 p.m. this Wednesday, February the 22nd. There is no prerequisite to receive this donation. Second Helpings Atlanta through Pratt Industries and, of course, HelloFresh USA distributes over 8,000 meals a week to deserving Atlanta families virtually through this effort and the efforts of our partners within the city limits. Every council district in Atlanta receives a donation of HelloFresh every Wednesday somewhere through some nonprofit partner. And so on Wednesday, if you don't need it, please pass the word along. Atlanta is the second highest city in the nation as far as inflation, and that includes food. And so we don't qualify who we distribute to. Don't ask, don't tell. If you need it, just come on. No shame in the game.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewis.
I want to make sure I thank folks for coming out to our first State of the District last week. We had over 137 people that actually came and stayed over 2 to 3 hours to hear about things we've been doing in the district and to see ways we can improve in the district. So I look forward to continuing these conversations and continuing turning the State of Districts into town halls, making sure that every question gets answered. Lastly, I also want to invite our singers out to Arthur Langford Recreation Center this Friday, in which we will be celebrating our singers at noon. This is a citywide event, so any singer in the city of Atlanta that wants to come out to Arthur Langford to celebrate with Ms. Womack, it's a good time. I look forward to seeing our singers this Friday at noon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Amos.
Yes, very quickly, Mr. President, just want to highlight the amazing outreach done by our airport DOA, Department of Aviation, and their Black History Month celebration that I played a part in. We had several Metro high school students to come out, and they was introduced to all types of activities and jobs listed in aviation. Also, 2 events, one taking place, Clippers and Cops, taking place this Wednesday, the 22nd, is actually an event put on by Atlanta Police Department and a neighborhood barbershop. It's taking place at Uppercuts Barbershop, 842 ML King Jr. Drive. In both our district, it borders. So come out, get a haircut for the family, mix and mingle, and get to know our community-oriented police. And then tonight, at 6 o'clock, the mayor and I'm along with Councilmember Dozier, will actually be at Northside Drive and ML King Jr. Drive with the Bend Toward Justice sculpture that we will be unveiling tonight as well. So that's tonight at 6 o'clock. Join us.
Thank you. Councilmember Boone.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Again, I would like to thank Councilmember Antonio Lewis and our clerk, Mr. Forrest Webb, Mayor Dickens, President Shipman, for the wonderful, wonderful unveiling of the Larry Dingle Committee Room this morning. Attendees were former President Carl Ware, former clerks Olivia Parks Woods, Rhonda Dauphin Johnson, Ms. Ingrid Saunders Jones, our own Reverend Dr. Walter Kimbrough, so many elected officials, our wonderful Atlanta City Council members, our executive staff, Chief Donald, Mr. Pace, Mr. Courtney English, our former elected officials, Aaron Watson, Mr. Thomas Cuffey, and so many attendees. So to Ms. Dingle and the entire Dingle family, this was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful event today. Congratulations.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
I want to send a final shout out to Championship Title Town. District 12 has turned to Title Town. Congratulations to our 12 and under young ladies from Roselle Fan for bringing home the championship. I remember before the season started, they said, Councilmember, you saved that space. You saved that space on your account in your office for this championship trophy we're going to get for you. So congratulations to the young ladies who won that, and congratulations also to Nyla Shivers, who won MVP of the City of Atlanta League. You're my niece for a lifetime, young lady. Can't wait to see you grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick ones from me. I believe that CFO Bala is celebrating a birthday today, maybe why we don't see him. Shout out to CFO Bala on a birthday. Councilor Boone.
A happy birthday to the great council member from District 11, the Honorable Marcy Collier Overstreet, on tomorrow, February 21st.
Yes, tomorrow, Councilmember Overstreet, happy birthday. 6:30 p.m. tomorrow at the Metropolitan Library, several council members will be in attendance talking about transportation priorities for 2023, so I would invite everyone out. That is in partnership with Propel Atlanta and some other transportation advocates. And also two quick shout outs. Atlanta United kicks off their season on Saturday, so good luck in the new season for hometown soccer team. And it's also the Atlanta Marathon on Sunday morning. So if you're running, good luck. And if you're not, come out and cheer everybody who is running through downtown and several neighborhoods across Atlanta. Any other remarks from colleagues? Madam Deputy Clerk, please sound the closing roll call.
Council President Shipman.
Present.
Council members Bond. Westmoreland. Waits. Winston. Faroki. Amos. Dozier. Bakhtiari. Wan. Shook. Norwood. Hillis. Boone. Overstreet. And Lewis.
Let's go.
Without objection, we will stand adjourned.